It's Brian Preston, the Money Guy.
This one's important because, as I've already shared, behavioral issues are the main problem that I think is the biggest obstacle to people creating wealth. And so what Warren shares is, number 8, keep your emotions in check.
I mean, I think, we've already said the quotes where he talks about, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. That's basically saying keep your emotions in check. Don't allow yourself to be swayed or persuaded by other voices out there.
Yeah, because the herd is wrong most of the time. And I love this quote. Here's a Warren Buffett quote that's going to serve you well. Quote, "The stock market is a device for transferring money from the impatient to the patient."
So the question you have to decide is, which side of that camp do you want to fall on? Do you want to be the impatient who money's transferred away from, or the patient who money is transferred to?
Well, we tell people, don't put any money in the financial markets unless you can walk away from it for 5 to 7 years. This is supposed to be a long-term investment. It's not for short-term. And I'm so surprised. I think what Warren's getting at there is so many people try to time the market. They get in, they get out, they freak out based upon what the news media is putting forward. And that is not actually what creates success over time. Remember, investing is like walking up the mountain with a yo-yo. Yes, there's going to be ups and downs like the yo-yo, but you're constantly going to higher ground. And we have proof on that because the financial media, are they trying to work in your best interest? And the answer is no.
They are not. And I think one of the quotes that Warren even says about this, it says, during such scary periods, you should never forget 2 things. First, widespread fear is your friend as an investor because it serves up bargain purchases. Second, personal fear is your enemy. It will also be unwarranted. Investors who avoid high and unnecessary costs and simply sit for an extended period of time with a collection of large, conservatively financed American businesses will almost certainly do well. So it should be just as easy as sit and do nothing, right?
Yeah, we know wealth creation is actually simple. It's just, it doesn't mean it's easy.
That's
though.
right.
It's definitely simple, not easy, because most people cannot control the behavioral limitations. I mean, think about it. Dave Ramsey, why is he so successful? It's because 80% of the public can't figure out that if you have credit card debt, you're probably doing it wrong. This seems like common sense, but yet it has created a great thing that Dave is incredibly well at motivating people on that you and I consider common sense. It's the same thing with investing. It seems so simple to Warren Buffett that you just simply sit for an extended period of time and you'll be successful. Yet that's not what we see the average American doing.
Well, and the reason is because, Brian, there are voices out there instructing us to the contrary, right?
So let's kind of talk about can the media predict what's going on in the financial markets?
So we just wanted to put together an illustration. Now, what this shows is from 2009, the Great Recession, all the way through 2019. And on the overlay in the back, if you're out there listening in iTunes or Stitcher or iHeartRadio, we're actually just showing the trajectory of the S&P 500 from 2009 till 2019. And it's exactly what you said, Brian. It is a yo-yo walking up a mountain. The mountain keeps getting higher, but yes, there are some ups and downs. But all along the way, we just thought we would pull out some popular media headlines like, the risk of double-dip recession is rising. Or, here it comes, the recession of 2011. Or, why America's big banks are predicting a recession. Or, 6 signs we're closer to the next recession than you think. This information has been hitting us in the face for 10 years now. And I would argue it has not been right.
You notice how many times they say double dip recession happening. I mean, eventually they're hoping, I didn't get it last time. Maybe I'll get it this time.
If you say it enough, you'll be right
eventually you will be right so we can say that we called the market downturn. It is one of those laughable things. So this is the picture from 2009 all the way through the end of 2019. Let's look at some historical times where also the media has kind of it's harder to find this stuff on the internet because they're not too proud of these moments.
So in August of 1979, the cover of Business Week ran a title, has a stock certificate that's crumpled up in the trash, and it says, "The Death of Equities."
That must mean that stock investing is officially done. 1979, man, this thing is horrible because to run a headline like "The Death of Equities," you're pretty confident we are at the end of a period. It is just so sad to see this go away.
Now, who's the guy that said the rest of the story? I always forget.
Paul Harvey.
Paul Harvey. So now in Paul Harvey, what's the rest of the story? The S&P 500 over the next 12 years went from
It quadrupled. essentially.
quadrupled, bottom left, all the way, yo-yo up the mountain, high top right.
So, I mean, it just shows, once again, the media was so wrong. And Warren's got some quotes on this that we'll share in a minute, but let's keep this exercise going, because if they can't predict when the market's going up because they're so gloomy, how about can they predict when the market's going to go down?
So, okay, so let's look at it. March of 2000, how to invest in the hottest market ever, right? So we have the dot-coms, internet's booming. This must be the time that you want to get your money in the market and get it working.
Well, I can see it. You're at the airport or you're at the grocery store and you walk by your magazine stand. I know that's kind of hard to believe now because we're all digital.
Magazine
but
stand.
back in the day, this is March of 2000, you would have walked by a magazine stand and go, man, Money Magazine, these guys, they're telling me this is the hottest market ever. This has to be the time. I want to make the money, because I went to my Christmas party. My brother-in-law was telling me he had quadrupled his money just this year alone by buying a technology fund. This has to be the perfect time to get into the market.
Yep.
What happened?
Well, Paul Harvey, S&P 500 over the next 2.5 years, a precipitous drop from, what's that, probably 1,500 right around there, down to 800 by the end or by September of 2002.
It's the dot-com bust. I mean, we saw that these hottest market ever had a lot of hot air in it. So it was definitely, the media missed it on that. So how about, let's fast forward. Let's talk about the Great Recession. We had the Great Depression, and then the worst downturn since the Great Depression was the Great Recession. I mean, we had a lot of people, you were nervous, the wheels were physically coming off of the banking institutions of the world.
So in October 2008, Time ran a cover and it said the new hard times. And on the cover is literally a picture. I'm assuming this is from the actual Great
It says
Depression.
free soup, yeah.
This is soup lines. It's showing that this is how bad things are, and it's only going to get worse from here. These are the new hard times.
Well, we know, because this is pretty recent history now. That was October of 2008 that they had the new hard times with a picture from the Great Depression. And the rest of the story is the S&P 500 has boomed over that same, that 11-year period has just been, we've had at least a threefold increase in the financial markets. And realize, if you had taken the advice of any of these magazine covers, it would have been hazardous. It would have been harmful to your financial health.
And so why do we as investors fall prey to that? The answer is, Brian, and I've seen you talk about this so many times over the years, is because we as investors, we as humans are emotional creatures. So if we're emotional creatures, it makes sense that we're emotional when it comes to making financial decisions as well. And so that's why we always talk about the cycle of market emotions, the ups and downs that you experience as an investor.
And I thought that we had this quote. I know we were planning on using it somewhere, but I still think it is appropriate, talking about the cycle of market emotions, how people get so excited on the upswings, because it is one of those things, you're going to parties, people telling you how they're making money, you get that euphoria because your money's really working for you. But then as it comes down, we do have that depression. And we've been through some volatility recently, and people are starting to panic. I mean, and that's what I get sad about, is that people don't realize is that when markets are all-time highs, that's actually the point of maximum financial risk. But by the contrarian standpoint, when we reach the lower of low, when everybody's freaking out, looking for the exits, that's actually the point of maximum financial opportunity. But you can't even give away stocks when that is going on. So I think it's worth repeating, because this is something that we'd use, is forecasts may tell you a great deal about the forecaster. They tell you nothing about the future.
That's beautiful.
So, I mean, Warren has it. The fundamentals matter. The understanding that we live in, it's great to be alive. It's great to be a part of innovation, technology. Don't get sidetracked by a bunch of forecasters who really don't have your best interests at heart.